Sup, Ian, Commissioner, bringing you guys the mid-season recap. Um, Sick boy Ian here with this long video, so please feel free to, I don't know what you want to do. You don't have, like, there's not a ton of visuals. There are visuals that matter, but there's not a ton. Like, you can just listen to my voice if you want to. Please stick around for the whole thing. At the end, there will be a very special announcement, or you can just skip to the end, I guess, if you wanted. If you see your slide, you can obviously skip to that point. I'm not going to do, what are those even called? Timestamps. I'm not going to do timestamps for each person's slide, but this should be fairly extensive, and I've got a lot to talk about and sort of my thoughts on how the season is going so far, and what's maybe different from season 1 and 2, what is improved, what's maybe not as good. So this is sort of where maybe you guys get my feedback, because obviously I take feedback from you guys all the time, so maybe this is where I repay the favor with some feedback of my own. Music in the background, I normally don't have this, but I am a sick boy, so I thought that this would be a little bit more entertaining instead of hearing my monotone sick boy voice, and it's just, it'll be linked in the description, so if you wanted to check out the compilation, there you go. It's 3 hours, just in case I take that long. And it's just, I don't know, it's a bunch of Pokemon music. I don't own the rights to this music, just saying that right off the bat. And let's hop right into things. So let's start with the standings. These are the current standings in each division. So in the Nimbasa division, you have myself, 4-2 plus 10 with 3 conference wins. Jamesy's in second, 4-2 plus 1. That's not supposed to say minus. I had to change that, obviously. Austin, the Atlantis Raptors, 2-4 minus 9. Magic in the Snow Point City Blizzard, 1-5 minus 19. Accumula division, you've got Ben and Tampa Bay Weasel, 6-0 plus 17. Jed and the Adelaide Overheat, 6-0 plus 14. Shade and the Calgary Talonflames, 4-2 plus 6. And Dom and the Cleveland Nest Cavaliers, 1-5 minus 14. Not looking so hot for Dom to make it out of that division. Aspertia division, you've got the LA Latios and Kade, 6-0 plus 25. Hayden and the Pittsburgh Piplups, 4-2 plus 2. Hamid and the Helsinki Heat, 1-5 minus 9. Ace in the West Virginia Voltorb, 0-6 minus 25. In the Floxy division, you've got Jay and the UNC Wingles, 4-2 plus 16. Matt in the Green Bay Glycopods, 2-4 minus 1. Tiff in the Calgary Flareons, 2-4 minus 4. And Mortal in the Philadelphia Pichus, 1-5 minus 9. So some sort of blowout divisions, aka the Aspertia and Accumula divisions sort of have, like, I don't know, maybe not Accumula as much, but then you got the closer divisions with Floxy and Numeva. Just sort of a summary slide here. So you guys could have seen this if you looked at the doc anyways, and this is just how it's looking. In terms of the conferences, this is how it lines up for you. So if you wanted to know, actually maybe I'll just go back a slide for a sec here. The division winners obviously make playoffs, so if playoffs started today, myself, Kade, Ben, and Jay would be the division winners. Ben and Kade would both get their choice of which wildcard team they would want to play. And then the wildcard teams would be the Adelaide Overheat and the Calgary Talonflames would be the wildcard teams right now because they have the better, they have the best records. So the Crystal Palkia would not make playoffs if we started playoffs today. And then over in the, sorry, I think this is the Black Conference, and the White Conference has the wild cards would be Hayden and the Pittsburgh Piplups and Matt and the Green Bay Glycopods. So that last wild card spot, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 teams playing for that last wild card spot. Realistically, like they could all get that last wildcard spot in the other conference, just because it's a matter of 1 win and differential for most of them. Ace isn't out of the playoff running by any means either. He's only 2 wins outside of a playoff spot right now, which is kind of crazy. And so that's how playoffs breaks down. So in terms of the standings, obviously you can see the top 4 teams in each conference are currently in those spots. This isn't always the case, just because some divisions are really bad. In the past, we've had really, really, really bad divisions where the division winner was like 4th, and like a division winner was 4th, and so like the third, like 3 from one division would make it, which is what we're seeing here, where 3 from one division in Accumula are making it, and only 1 from the Numeva division, just because of how that works. So this slide isn't very important, we can just move on. Current overall standings. This is all of the teams together. I thought this would be kind of cool just so you guys could see what's going on, and this is relevant to our announcement later. Or maybe I'll just say it now, actually. What the hell? My current intention, and this was brought up and suggested by Austin, so you guys can all hang him on, or crucify him if you want, but the current intention, and the mods have agreed on this, is that to give motivation to all of the teams heading into the back half of the season, so that teams who don't think they have a good playoff chance stop trying. The motivation is that you don't want to be in the last two spots. So the 15th and 16th overall teams in the league, the current intention is to have them demote to the new minors division next season. It will not be named minors. I don't want to go with that bland crap. It'll be named something fun. But at the moment, Magic and Ace are in those spots, and so I'm hoping this is a kick in the butt for both of them to sort of start winning some games and try a little bit harder to win some games so that they don't get relegated to minors. Again, that's the current intention. It may not happen, but expect it to and play like it's going to happen. So essentially anyone with 2 wins, aka 9 through 16, you guys are all in danger of this at the moment. Anyone with 4 wins, aka 1 through 8, it's a lot less scary for them, unless they tank the back half of the season. So, excuse me. That's what's going on there. Obviously, the 3-6-0 teams are at the top there, and then 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, 4-2, and 4-2 from 4 down to 8, 2-4 from 9, 10, 11, 1-5, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then the 0-6 team is 16th. Just sorted by differential and stuff. So I don't think there were any ties to break here, so it shouldn't have mattered that much. All right, Jed. Let's talk about Jed's season so far. He's 6-0 plus 14. Just going to go in alphabetical order. He's second in the Black Conference. His top 3 kill leaders as of now are Latias with 7 kills, 1 death, Toxicroak 6-0, Sneasel 6 kills, 4 deaths. I'll just touch on the rest of his team really quickly here as well. He also has Mega Aggron with 5 kills, 3 deaths. That was his next best. And then he has Lando T with 3 kills, 3 deaths, Porygon Z with 3 kills, 0 deaths. Rotom Heat and Gorgeist both with 2 kills. Rotom Heat has 4 deaths, Gorgeist with 3 deaths. And then Melodic Rabombi both have 1 kill each, and Rampardos has not got a kill or a death. Jed's season so far, obviously he's 6-0. He's had a blowout against some of the weaker teams, against Hamu and against Ace in week 1 and 3, and then really close matches against some of the other teams, although his match against Mortal probably shouldn't have been that close. His match against Matt and his match against Jay were both very close as well. He hasn't played anyone with more than 4 wins this season. Like, he hasn't played against either of the other 6-0 teams this season. So it's interesting to see what's going on there. And he's reasonably played the weaker side of the schedule so far. He's only played Jay and Hayden with 4 wins, and then the other 4 teams have 2 wins or less under their belt right now. So it's interesting to see that his strength of schedule is actually fairly weak to end the season. He's got the second lowest. He's the second lowest strength of schedule to end out the season now, which means that his schedule is reasonably easy to continue on, which is very true actually. He only plays 2 4-2 teams, and he plays one of the other 6-0 teams, and then he plays a 2-4 team and 2 of the 1-5 teams. So it's very possible that Jed could continue his streak and go 12-0 this season, and the math is kind of showing that he might. So that's sort of what's going on there. Again, his future matches, he plays me next week, Austin week 8, Jamesy week 9, Magic week 10, Ben week 11, and Dom week 12. He has used 0 of his transactions so far this season. Transaction deadline is coming up in week 8 is the last week to do transactions, so we'll see if he wants to make any of those. I mean, that's about it, really. I don't think I have anything more to talk about in terms of Jed's team, so we'll move on to Austin now. Austin is 2-4 minus 9, 6th in the Black Conference, fighting to get out of that sort of relegation area and pick up some wins as the season comes to a close. His kill leaders are Weavile with 7 kills, 6 deaths, Nino Queen 5 kills, 3 deaths, and Hitmontop 5 kills, 4 deaths. Worthy to note, Armaldo and Mantine have not come to any games yet. Mega Mawile was had a -1 differential when it left. Rotom Wash had a -2 differential when it left. I can't remember how many kills they had. I don't believe Virizion even came to a game when it left the team either. So he's used all 3 of his transactions and has no more free agent transactions he can make before the deadline, but he can make trades if he so chooses to with his quad intimidate team, which is very uh, basically it's physical, it's adrenaline or bait, and I'm surprised we haven't seen it more. What comes after? There's nothing really relevant after the Hitmontop. Mega Manectric has 1 kill, Salamence has 1 kill, Incineroar has 1 kill, and Roserade has 1 kill. That's it. Klefki doesn't have a kill. Uxie doesn't have a kill, and Armaldo and Mantine haven't come to a game. Austin has been bringing Weavile to a lot of games. Weavile, Hitmontop, and Nidoqueen, and Incineroar have each come to 6 and 5 games respectively. So lots of the same sort of stuff coming. This reminds me a lot of his Season 1. Hopefully he turns the heat on and starts actually building again for Week 7 onwards. In terms of his past matches, he's played some reasonably tough competition up there. You can see a 6-0 team in the Tampa Bay Weasels, 3 4-2 teams, all of which he lost to. He lost to the 6-0 team and the 3 4-2 teams, but then beat a 2-4 team and beat a 1-5 team. So he's sort of in the middle of the pack at this stage, I would say, sort of losing off to those stronger rosters and beating on the weaker rosters. So in terms of his future matches, let's talk about his strength of schedule real quick here. He currently has the hardest strength of schedule. It says that he has the hardest strength of schedule. He does play 2 of the 6-0 teams still, as well as 2 4-2 teams. So if that's any indication from his past matches, it's reasonable to say that he will win against the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Helsinki Heat and lose to the Adelaide Overheat, Calgary Talonflames, LA Latios, and Pittsburgh Piplups to finish with a 4-8 record. I don't see that getting playoffs just because there are already 5 people in the conference with 4 wins, and just based on how that would play out, he's playing 2 people in the conference, the Adelaide Overheat and the Calgary Talonflames. Calgary Talonflames are sitting at 4 wins. If they beat him, that's 5 wins right there, and then he won't be able to make it, just given what the prediction I just made, as well as the Adelaide Overheat would hit 7 wins at the very least. So that's 2 of the wildcard spots. This is assuming the Tampa Bay Weasels win out as well. So I think that's all I have to talk about with Austin. Let's move on to TIFF and the Calgary Flareon. Sorry, she's 5th in the White Conference right now. White now. 2 and 4 minus 4. Her top 3 kill leaders are Greninja, 6 kills, 5 deaths. Gigalith, 5 kills, 4 deaths. Mecha Garchomp, 4 kills, 5 deaths. After that, there's a bunch with 2. So Celesteela has 2 kills, 4 deaths. Galvantula has 2 kills, 4 deaths. Hitmonlee is 2 kills, 2 deaths. Celebi, 2 kills, 2 deaths. Togekiss, 2 kills, 2 deaths. And then Alolan Marowak is 1 kills, 2 deaths. Girafarig has not come to a game, and Sylveon is 0-1. TIFF has not used any of her transactions yet this season. And just a quick look at her past matches, she's lost to some good competition. She's made a lot of these games very close. So you can see just by the differential, -2, -1, +2, -1. The only real blowout out of all of these games was her match against Kade, and Kade is the #1 team in the entire league, so to no one's surprise that happened. Very interesting. She pulled a win off of a 4-2 team. She lost to 2 of the 2 4-2 teams, but very close. She's got a reasonably easy schedule, I would say, to finish out her season. She plays 3 1-5 teams, a 2-4 team alongside her, and an 0-6 team, as well as 1 of the 6-0 teams, which is why TIFF's strength of schedule is actually way down near the bottom. She is the 13th 13th highest, which means the 4th lowest strength of schedule. So fairly easy end to her season, mainly because she's already played 1 of the 6-0 teams and doesn't have to play another 1 of the 6-0 teams. So TIFF could definitely be in a good position to make a run at playoffs this season. At the moment, she's only 3 differential out of playoffs right now. So, or like even just a win against Matt. Her match in Week 12 against Matt is probably going to be a very important one, depending on how these games play out. This is assuming she beats everyone lower than her in the standings, which is her Week 7, her Week 8, her Week 10, and her Week 11. Then she would be sitting at 6 wins, which would actually probably put her in a really good spot to make playoffs either way. It's just that her conference is a little bit more tight in the middle than the Black conferences. So that is basically all there is with TIFF teams. So let's move on to Shade. Shade is 4th in the Black Conference with 4-2 plus 6. He's currently sitting in a playoff position based on differential. He's got 5 differential points over Jamesy, and they have not played yet, so there's no head-to-head tiebreaker to break that yet. His top 3 kill leaders are Zygarde 10%, 6 kills, 2 deaths, Crobat 6 kills, 4 deaths, and then Mew 5 kills, 3 deaths. Notable after that, Alolan Ninetales has 4 kills, 4 deaths, Bisharp has 4 kills, 3 deaths, Mega Gallade 3 kills, 3 deaths, and Cofagrigus 3 kills, 4 deaths. Shaman and Blastoise are both 0-1. So is Xurkitree. Well, Xurkitree is 0-0, and Zangoose has not made an appearance. Shade made 1 transaction, dropping Dragalge for Zygarde 10%. Dragalge came to his Week 1 match, and I believe his Week 2 match as well. Finished with a -1 differential. So Shade still has 2 transactions he could make, as well as any trades, potentially. His team is notably lacking something. A fire type? Yeah, there's no fire type on this team, so that's the notable typing that's sort of missing from this squad is fire. Oh my god, my nose. Sorry about that. In terms of Shade's past matches, he lost to a 6-0 team Week 1. He beat a 1-5 team, lost to a 4-2 team, beat the 0-6 team. That should say PP in Week 5 because he was playing the Philadelphia Pichus, not the Pittsburgh Piplups again. So he's beaten people below him in the standings and lost to people reasonably above him in the standings. His future matchups look reasonably difficult to me. He plays 3 4-2 teams, 2 from his conference. He finishes out his conference matches actually against a 2-4 team and a 1-5 team, and then he plays Ben and the Tampa Bay Weasels, also in his conference, a 6-0 team to finish out his season. His strength of schedule is actually not as hard as I would have anticipated based on these matches. He's 10th right now, still under 500, so it's actually it should in theory be easier than average schedule for him. So we'll see if he can live up to that hype and finish out his season and make playoffs, take that playoff spot away from Jamesy. His match in Week 10 is probably the most telling of this. And it depends on how Jamesy's season goes as well, which we'll get to in 2 slides here. Based on which of them is probably going to take the final playoff spot in the Black Conference. The Black Conference seems like it's kind of a write-off for the first 3 spots, in my opinion. And you can sort of tell the 3 teams that aren't going to make playoffs at this point, and then it's a fight for that last 4th playoff spot, in my opinion. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but that's kind of what it's going to come down to. So that is Shane. Let's move on to Dom. Dom, the Cleveland Cavaliers, 1-5, -14, sitting in 7th in the Black Conference, fighting for his life in majors. I don't think Dom has that good of a shot at playoffs right now. He's 3 wins out of playoffs. We'll talk about that in a second, though. His top 3 kill leaders, Azelf with 8 kills, 5 deaths. It used to be the kill leader in the league, sitting in 2nd right now, or tie for 2nd, I think. Blaziken, 4 kills, 3 deaths. Excadrill, 2 kills, 3 deaths. Tangrowth, also 2 kills, 3 deaths. Mega Altaria, 2 kills, 3 deaths as well. And then you've got Golisopod, 1 kill, 2 deaths. Toxapex, 1 kill, 4 deaths. Excadrill is actually 1 kills, 4 deaths. I don't know why it says 2 kills, 3 deaths. It's 1 and 4. Jolteon 1 and 5. And then you got Umbreon 0 and 4, and Regice and Komala have not seen play at all this season. Dom has used 2 of his transactions. Aegislash came to a single game, got a kill and a death, and then Gligar, I don't remember how many games Gligar came to, but Gligar also off the roster. So Dom has 1 transaction that he can possibly make, maybe to speed his team up a little bit. I don't know, get like a base 100 or something instead of having that massive gap between Azelf and Excadrill. Who knows what his plans might be there. In terms of his past matches, his 1 win was against Ace in a very, very tight game against the 0-6 team, so not looking super solid for Dom right now. 3 of those games ended in 0-4. Not great for his differential, as well as sort of just the impression of his team for the rest of the league. He's kind of looking like a free win to some people in the league, potentially. He does play 2 of the 6-0 teams, as well as a 4-2 team, and then he plays a 2-4 team, sorry, 2 and 4 teams and a 1 and 5 team. It's kind of important for Dom to be able to pick up a win against the 1 and 5 team, aka Magic. That match is probably his most important to sort of keep him alive. Playoff picture will be coming back at some point. As soon as I see clinches, playoff picture will be a series that's going live. So Dom is competing with Magic for lowest spot in the conference right now, and he is just barely outside of those bottom 2 spots right now. So it's really important that he picks up some wins here to keep his run alive in majors and not move down to minors. He currently has the 7th hardest record going into the end of the season here. I don't understand why the math is working out the way it is, but it is for some reason, because he plays 2 of the 6-0 teams still, so I have no idea how that works out, but it does. So there you go. That is Dom, and I guess we can move on to Jamesy. Jamesy's 4-2 plus 1, 5th in the Black Conference. He is 5 differential points out of a playoff spot at the moment. His schedule is looking mighty difficult to finish out the season, so he's going to have to pull out all of the stops to be able to make playoffs, I think. Again, that's just what the math is telling us. His kill leaders this season: Nihiligo 7 kills, 4 deaths, Mega Gardevoir 6 kills, 2 deaths, Kartana 4 kills, 3 deaths. As well on the team, Zeraora 4 kills, 6 deaths, Darmanitan 2 kills, 2 deaths, Gliscor 1 kill, 2 deaths, Arachnid 1 kill, 3 deaths, and Mimikyu is 0-1. Drampa came to a game, but 0-0, and Hitmonchan has not shown its ugly face yet. He's made 1 transaction post-draft. He dropped a Reuniclus from Mimikyu, which, I don't know. He probably could have pulled off some Trick Room strategy with the Reuniclus on this team. I think it might have been a little bit scarier, actually, just having some actual bulk on the team with the Reuniclus, so that might have paid off a little bit more rather than having the Mimikyu here. Who knows? I'm not actually sure. It might have paid off, it might not have. Who knows? Mimikyu hasn't come to that many games, so I'm not entirely sold on the fact that Mimikyu is the right choice. Mega Gardevoir and Zeraora have come to every single game so far. So in terms of Jamesy's past matches, he's won very important matches against the Atlantis Raptors and the Snowpoint City Blizzard and the Ladner Lantern, all very important matches for him to win. Big loss to the UNC Wingles, and he has not played any team above 4 wins yet this season, which is why his end of season is so difficult. He still plays all 3 of the current 6-0 teams. He also plays the team that he's competing with in Week 10, the Calgary Talonflames, and so he probably needs to pick off a win against at least 1, if not 2, of the 6-0 teams, as well as beating the Calgary Talonflames to feel safe in a playoff position. He does play 2 of the 1 and 5 teams, so he might get some wins there. And so if he manages to win against the Calgary Talonflames, at least 1 of the 6-0 teams, and against both of the teams he should beat, that gives him another 4 wins, and 8 wins would probably put him in a playoff position. Probably. It's definitely still up in the air if that would put him in a playoff position or not. I know in Season 1, 9 wins was the playoff barrier, and that was with 12 teams. So this could definitely be a lot more challenging than I think any other team. And again, this is why I'm sort of confused with the math, because it definitely looks like Jamesy has the hardest schedule to finish out his season, just based on his current record. Because of his hyper-offensive team, he doesn't have the differential room to play with, just because he kind of has to play sack for sack over and over again. And that's sort of why his losses have been... his losses have been reasonably blowout-y, and some of his wins have been kind of close, especially his win against me. It was definitely a sack for sack kind of game, which came down to some really cool tech on the Mega Gardevoir. So next up is Matt in the Green Bay Glycopods. Matt is in a position right now to make playoffs, but he's not safe in that position. He's only 3 differential points with a safety net over the Calgary Flareons, and they play in Week 12. Like I said, I think that is going to be the deciding factor. Hoopa Unbound is his kill leader at the moment with 7 kills and 3 deaths. Raikou with 5 kills, 4 deaths. Scolipede 4 kills, 1 death. Notably else, a lot of stuff has kills on his team. So what else is on here? Cobalion 4 kills, 6 deaths. Gligar, 1 kill, 3 deaths. Alolan Executor, 1 kill, 1 death. Mega Charizard X, 2 kills, 2 deaths. Snorlax, 2 kills, 6 deaths. Jellicent, 1 kill, 1 death. Avalugg, 1 kill, 3 deaths. Tapu Bulu has not seen a game. So, interesting that Mega Charizard X has only come to 2 games. Tapu Bulu has come to 0. Sort of shows that Matt is playing more of a budget playstyle this season instead of bringing his Mega Tier 1 and his Tier 1 free pick to a lot of games. It might be in his best interest to drop the Bulu, potentially, instead of not bringing it to any games, and maybe grab a better fairy that's sitting in Tier 1. I'm not sure if there are any. I mean, Tapu Fini is sitting there now. I don't know if you necessarily want the extra water type, but he is doubling up on grass right now, and his team is relatively poison weak. Other notable threats in there, Manaphy is sitting in Tier 1 still. Manaphy was never picked up post-draft. So I definitely think it might be in Matt's best interest to sort of use his final transaction as the season closes out. He did drop Landorus Incarnate and Golbat. Neither of them were really doing that much, and the defog support is definitely necessary for the Mega Charizard X. I think that's a big reason why he hasn't been bringing it, is because Stealth Rocks looks so good against his team. So I think that is a big thing for his team right now, is maybe getting rid of the Bulu. He did drop Landorus Incarnate for the Scolipede and Golbat for the Gligar, and sort of ended up with about the same sort of typings, and that's sort of what Matt has been good at. I really praised his drops last season for the same reason. In terms of his past matches, he has been playing. You can see the end of his run up to this mid-season point here has been very close matches. So even though he picked out 1 win out of those, they've all ended in a 1-0, and that's kind of important, I think, in the fact that he the opponents that he plays to finish out his season. Sorry, he plays 1 6-0 team this week, and then he plays 2 1-5 teams, a 4-2 team, another 2-4 team that he's competing with, and an 0-6 team. So Matt actually has like kind of a decently easy-ish run to a playoff spot here. As long as he can pick up the wins against the teams below him, he should be fine to make playoffs. That'd be 4 wins, and that would put him at 6 wins. And the fact that he would beat the person that he's directly competing with for a playoff spot, I think that would bode very well. So even if he loses to Kade and Hayden, I think Matt has a really solid chance to make playoffs as long as he beats the teams below him. Next up is Hamu and the Helsinki Heat. 1-5 -10, 7th in the White Conference, not looking super solid for him right now. Skarmory is his kill leader with 6 kills, 5 deaths. Megalodios second, 4 kills, 4 deaths. Aselgor third, 3 kills, 2 deaths. Notable other than that, Terrakion 2 kills, 3 deaths. Alolan Muck 2 kills, 4 deaths. Azumarill 1 kill, 2 deaths. And Abomasnow 1 kill, 2 deaths. Dugtrio's 0-1, Audino's 0-1, Chandeler's 0-2. Rotomo's 0-2. Everything has come to at least 1 game. He made a bunch of transactions. He ended up dropping Mienshao and Lapras post-draft for Terrakion and Electabuzz, and then he traded Electabuzz to the UNC Wingles for Abomasnow, and then he dropped Tapu Fini, which was indirectly hurting Megalodios, and he dropped it for the other water fairy in the tier, which is Azumarill. In terms of his matches, he has lost everyone above him and has only beaten people below him in the standings. He has a pretty difficult end to his season, in my opinion. He does play another 1-5 team in the Philadelphia Pichus. He plays a 2-4 team in the Green Bay Glasspods, 4-2 in the UNC Wingles, Ladner, Lantern, and the Crystal Palkia, and he plays a 2-5 team in the Atlantis Raptors. So, lots of stuff going on there. It's fairly possible that he pulls off wins against the Philadelphia Pichus and the Atlantis Raptors. I think the other 4 games are reasonably a write-off for him, but that might be enough. Those 2 wins might be enough to pull him through to outside of the sort of relegation zone and keep himself in majors. He has the 3rd hardest strength of schedule, just based on his opponents. I don't know. Again, I don't know why this is. I don't know how it's calculating this, because I don't know if that's accurate necessarily. Obviously, the strength of schedule will definitely be changing as matches get played, so we could definitely see that move around based on the results. And I'll maybe try and keep that updated as I go through the weekly recap videos. Next up is Kade and the LA Latios, first in the entire league, 6-0 plus 25. I'll just do his strength of schedule now because I'm already on the page. To no one's surprise, he has the easiest strength of schedule out of everybody, 16th. He's the best record, so in theory that should be true always, is that he is the easiest schedule because he's the best player. Full Corona is his kill leader right now and the kill leader in the entire league with 11 kills, 1 death. Zygarde 50%, 6 kills, 3 deaths. Zapdos 5 kills, 1 death. He has Crawdaunt 3 kills, 1 death. Mega DNC 4 kills, 3 deaths. Alomomola 3 kills, 1 death. Delmise 3 kills, 1 death. Registeel doesn't have a kill. Garbodor hasn't come to a game. Krogonal doesn't have a kill. Sock hasn't come to a game. If I was Kade, I might look at doing some transactions potentially. I know that he's undefeated, but the transaction deadline is coming up here. He hasn't brought either of his tier 5s to a single game. It might be worthwhile for him to drop one of them and maybe, I don't know, bring a tier 5 that's actually going to come. I don't know. That might just be the nature of his team, but there you go. He has not used any of his transactions so far, so he has all the wiggle room in the world to play with there. In terms of his previous matches, again, he's beaten everybody, so it's definitely very possible. He doesn't play any of the 6-0 teams to finish out his season. He plays 3 4-2 teams, 2 2-4 teams, and a 1-5 team. It's reasonable for me to predict that he's going to go 12-0. I actually think that he probably could go 12-0 this season. I would not be surprised. He's definitely in the realm of clinching very soon a playoff spot because of the way that his conference is stacked up. The 4th team is 2 wins. Sorry, the final wildcard team would be 2 wins, and he's already at 6. So that is a big 4-win gap that he's got going on there. And he could turn that into a clinch very soon. Just because there's only 6 weeks left, and he has a 4-win gap. So if he beats Matt, that's a very good start to him clinching playoffs. And then if he beats Jay and Matt loses, or TIFF loses as well, then I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility that Kade clinches by week 8. Which again, you guys will keep. I'll be able to keep you guys updated based on that, and there will be probably a playoff picture for week 7 if that is in the cards. So that's Kade. Next up is myself in the Lantern. Let's talk about my strength of schedule because, again, I'm on this tab. I have the 5th hardest, apparently. I do play 2 6-0 teams to finish out my season, but at the same time, because I play 2 6-0 teams. I play 2 4-2 teams, a 1-5 team, and an 0-6 team. So it's definitely not the easiest strength of schedule heading into the back half here. My top 3 kill leaders, I've Conkeldurr 6-2, Entei 6-4, Tentacruel 5-2. Then I have Diggersby 5-3, Bronzong 4-1, Mega Latias 3-4, Diancie and Pangoro are each 1-1, Whimsicott's 0-3, and Torntee's 2-2, and then Rotom Frost does not have a kill, but everything has come to at least 1 game. I have not used any transactions this season. I'm definitely looking at using some transactions to sort of make my team a little bit better. I do think that I'm in a solid position to end out my season, but there are some key members of the team that I'm definitely considering getting rid of. And I'll sort of leave it at that. I picked up some closer wins differential-wise at the beginning of the season, sort of just aiming to get the win and not necessarily care about differential too much in those first 2 games. I took a really close loss to the Crystal Palkia. I smashed Magic in a match that I absolutely had to. Magic, bottom of the table, those are the wins you have to pull all the differential from. I had a very close loss to the one of the 6-0 teams, the Tampa Bay Weasels, and then I smashed through another lower team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, I played 2 6-0 teams, 2 4-2 teams, a 1-5 team, and an 0-6 team. So pretty difficult besides the week 10 and week 12 there. I'm thinking I have to pull out a win. I definitely have to pull out wins against the other 4-2 teams, and I probably have to pull out wins against the 2 6-0 team, or at least one of the 2 6-0 teams to sort of make things work here. Next up is Mortal and the Philadelphia Pichus. His top kill leaders are Mega Absol, 6 kills, 4 deaths. Then he's got Tapu Koko, 3 kills, 4 deaths. Suicune, 3 kills, 3 deaths. He's got Donphan sitting at 2 kills, 2 deaths. Kyurem, 2 kills, 3 deaths. Dusknoir, 1-1. Jirachi, 1-4. Arcanine, 0-1. Roselia, 0-2. Swellow, 1-2. Heracross has not seen any games. He does not have, well, he's got all of his transactions left. He could definitely make some moves here. Mortal does not have a very good end to his season, in my opinion here. He's sort of got some tough opponents. Let's talk about his previous games. He came in his replacement game against the Cleveland Cavaliers and smashed, and then he's lost to some good teams in his last 3 games. He has kind of an iffy end to his season, really. He doesn't have any super difficult games, but he's got some reasonable opponents. He plays 2 4-2 teams in the Pittsburgh Piplups and the UNC Wingles. 2 2-4 teams in the Calgary Flareons and the Green Bay Glasspods. 1-5 team along with himself in the Helsinki Heat, and the West Virginia Voltorb is an 0-6 team that he plays. So Mortal could definitely pick up some wins here and actually potentially make a playoff run. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility for Mortal here. And so we'll be looking towards him for that. In terms of his actual strength of schedule, let's talk about that really quickly here. His actual strength of schedule is 6th hardest, even with some reasonably easy opponents. So again, I'm not sure about the math here. Moving on to Hayden and the Pittsburgh Piplups. He is 4-2 +2, so his differential is not very good, just like Hayden. Jamesy. All of his games have been very close. His kill leaders: Mega Beedrill 8-2, Latios 4-1, Crocodile 4-4. Tornadus Incarnate 3-4, Volcanion 3-4, Porygon 2-5, Ditto 2-2, Girder 1-2, Fairthorn 1-3, Florges 2-1, and Zebstrika 1-2. Everything's come to at least 2 games, which is wild. He's been using his roster very well. He's not used any transactions. It may be in his best interest to make them, maybe not. Who knows? I know. Let's talk about his. I don't really need to cover his past matches. They've all been really close games. I expect the rest of his games to actually be really close, despite him playing Ace, just based on the nature of how he plays. He's got some difficult-ish matchups. He does start off fairly easy again in his next 3 games, and then he's got hard matchups, in my opinion, against the UNC Wingles and the Liner Lantern, and then a reasonably easy-ish matchup against the Atlantis Raptors. Hayden should definitely be able to make playoffs with this schedule. I think as long as he pulls out at least 3 wins in his next 6 matches, he should be good. Like, as long as he goes 500 in his last 6 matchups, he should be okay to make playoffs. I would imagine that should put him out of range of Matt and TIFF taking him out of his spot. So, Hayden, if you're watching, just win 3 of those matches and you're good. Especially if you beat Matt. That's probably the most important one, is beating Matt. And then you might be able to eclipse Jay if you beat Jay. So, there you go. Your strength of schedule is 11th, so reasonably easy strength of schedule, and like I said, all you have to do is probably just win 3. Magic and the Snow Point City Blizzard not having a great season, just like last time. He's currently sitting in 15th overall in the league, so looking to get himself out of relegation territory. He doesn't have the easiest schedule, and I'll talk about his strength of schedule right now. He's 12th in terms of strength of schedule. It's a pretty hard strength of schedule. I don't know why it says it's so easy. Very, very weird. In terms of his kill leader, he's got Mamoswine there. 4 kills, 3 deaths. Eternal Floette, 4 kills, 6 deaths. It's killed itself 3 times. Hydreigon, 3 kills, 2 deaths. Mega Slowbro, 1 kill, 2 deaths. Lycanroc Dusk, 1 kill, 2 deaths. Meloetta, 2 kills, 4 deaths. Heatran, 1 kill, 2 deaths. Ariados has died 4 times, no kills. Electros, 2 kills, 0 kills, 2 deaths. Servine, 0 kills, 2 deaths. Decidueye, 0 kills, 1 death. Everything has come to at least 1 game. He does have the double grass here, and Decidueye has only come to 1 game. He doesn't have any transactions remaining, though. He ended up dropping Hawlucha, Electrode, and Escavalier fairly early on, and none of them were doing that much, so I'll sort of see how that plays out. Magic has not had a good run of it. In the middle of his season, or middle of his first half there, -4, -6, -5, that kind of hurt his differential a lot, and he's sort of been having some closer matches there towards the end. He plays the Calgary Flareons, big match there. Both of those teams looking for wins. He does still have all 3 of the 6 no teams, as well as a 4-2 team, and then a match against Dom, the Cleveland Cavaliers. That might be a really important match to decide who gets relegated, potentially, depending on how these games go. In theory, Magic should not win 4 of these games, and then he should have 2 close games. So we'll sort of see how it plays out. It's definitely feasible that Magic goes 0-6 to end of the season. And we'll sort of see if that happens or not. Ben and the Tampa Bay Weasels are next. They are 2nd in the entire league, 6-0 +17. He's sort of had some trounces and then some close games in his schedule so far. His kill leaders, Garchomp, 7-4. Buzzwole, well, sorry, Aerodactyl 7-3, Gengar 3-1, Slowking 2-1, Clefable 1-2, Torkoal 0-1, Buzzwole 2-0, Mega Houndoom 2-3. Steelix 0-0, and Victory Bell hasn't come to a game yet. He has used 2 of his transactions so far. He ended up dropping Slowbro and Frostlass for Slowking and Gengar. I think those were pretty decent. Victory Bell, again, still hasn't come to a game. I think it's just sort of the threat of having a Sunsweeper rather than actually bring it necessarily. Although I would like to see Victory Bell have some action this season. He doesn't need to do any drops necessarily. He's got a pretty strong team, although it is very weak to ground still. Ben's strength of schedule. Let's talk about Ben's strength of schedule. His strength of schedule is the second highest somehow. He does play the Adelaide Overheat, which is a divisional opponent that's 6-0 as well. He matches up against 2 4-2 teams, a 2-4 team, and 2 1-5 teams. So I don't actually think this is as hard as it makes it out to be. I think it's very important for him to win against both of the 4-2 teams, especially because they're in the division. Actually, he's got a lot of divisional matches going on here. He plays everybody left in the division to end out his season, and those are all very important games. It's definitely feasible for Ben to go 12-0, and I think that is probably going to be what his goal is. And so let's move on to Jay and the UNC Wingles. Jay's strength of schedule, let's talk about this, is the 3rd lowest, so fairly easy schedule for Jay to finish out the season. He dodges some pretty difficult opponents to end out the season there as well. His kill leaders: Mega Scizor 7 kills 3 deaths, Nidoking 7 kills 2 deaths, Honchkrow 5 kills 0 deaths. His past matches, he's had some dominant performances. He started off the season really strong, and that's why his differential is so good at 4-2. He also took losses to 2 of the 6-0 teams, so he's been beating everyone below him and losing to the people above him. He does play... Sorry, transactions. He traded Abomasnow for Electabuzz. He dropped Alakazam and Haxorus for Cresselia and Tyrantrum. I forgot to talk about the rest of his kills. Infernape 2-3, Cresselia 2-3, Tyrantrum 1-1, Vaporeon 3-1, Electabuzz 0-2, Superior 2-0, and Comfey 0-1. Mismagius has not come to a single game. Tyrantrum's only come to 1. He does still have 1 transaction left if he wanted to use that potentially. His future matches, again, he's got a 2 4-2 teams, 2 1-5 teams, an 0-6 team, and a 6-0 team. So as long as he can beat Hayden, I think that might be the most important one. If he keeps picking up wins against people below him in the standings and beats Hayden, he should be fine. So he can probably give up wins in his week 7 and 8 as long as he wins the next 4, or as long as he wins against the Helsinki Heat, Philadelphia Pichus, and West Virginia Voltorb. He should be okay for playoffs, that is. Last but not least, Ace in the West Virginia Voltorb. Ace is getting to a point where he is getting close to being eliminated from playoffs. Ace is unfortunately in that relegation territory, very close to the relegation territory, and it's not looking that good for him as he's sort of been blown out of a lot of these games. His kill leaders: Mega Venusaur 4 kills 6 deaths, Primarina 2 kills 6 deaths, Rotom 1 kill 2 deaths. That's sort of saying a lot. Kieran Black is 1-4, Silvali's 1-4. He's brought everything to at least 1 game, but they've died a lot. So Fortress 0-2, Licky 0-3, Victini 0-2, Scrafty 0-2, Lycanroc Midday 0-3, and Mudsdale 0-1. He made some transactions, dropping Zoroark and Spiritomb for Scrafty and Mudsdale. He still has 1 transaction left. It might be worth his while to sort of make that and just at least say that he used it to sort of improve his team a little bit, just as we end out the season here. In terms of his strength of schedule and his last matchups, they're very difficult for him. He plays 3 4-2 teams, a 1-5 team, and 2 2-4 teams, but a lot of these are interdivisional games for him that are going to matter a lot. He actually doesn't have the hardest. He's got a very average strength of schedule. He's 8th in the strength of schedule, just above 500.501, so he could definitely be sitting in that range where he's going to make... He could definitely turn it on and make playoffs. Like, don't get me wrong, he's in a position where he can make playoffs. It's getting close to the position where he won't. I think his interdivision matches are going to be very important. So, his first 5 matches are going to be very important, and then his week 12 probably isn't going to matter, which sucks because it's against me and I'd love it to matter, but it probably won't. So that's going to be Ace. Now let's move on to the more exciting stuff here. I've got some kill leaders for you. Volcarona, Azelf, Megabeedrill, Latias, Aerodactyl. Those are the top 5 as of week 6. I got you guys to fill out a form and do predictions because we didn't do predictions through the coach profile series, so let's talk about those then. You guys predicted Volcarona to be the top kill leader with 19 votes in favor, Megabeedrill 7, Aerodactyl 5, Weavile 5, and then Mega Scizor, Mega Gardevoir, Azelf, and Latias all got 4 votes each. After that, you have Zygar 10 of the Calgary Talonflames with 3 votes. Hoopa Unbound of the Green Bay Glassopods with 2. Greninja, Mega Absol, and Mega Venusaur all with 1. And then you have Eternal Floette and Conkeldurr with 0 votes each. What is this? Who's in between? Oh, and Mega Latios also got 0 votes. So that is very interesting to me as to how that broke down. In terms of move kills, obviously I go through this all the time, but we'll just go over the number 4. Number 4 is Hidden Power. Number 5 is Scald, Thousand Arrows, Brave Bird, and Psychic, all tied with 11. In terms of what you guys voted for, you just think Earthquake's going to be the top with 18 votes. You think Knockoff second with 9. Thunderbolt with 7 votes. Then it was really close. Toxic, Hidden Power each with 2 votes, and Scald and Thousand Arrows each with 1. And then Stealth Rocks, which currently has 9 kills, had 0. I actually have high hopes for Stealth Rocks. It's the most kills it's ever had. So Z moves next. Lots of stuff with 3 and then some stuff with 1. That's sort of how it broke down. Mainly, you guys predicted Tectonic Rage to be winning with 10 votes for it. Z Earthquake very prominent apparently. Savage Spinout was next with 5 votes. It was kind of prominent again, probably because of Volcarona using it a lot. Bloom Noom, Supersonic Sky Strike each with 2 votes, sorry. And then Black Hole Eclipse got 1 vote. So that's kind of cool. And then in terms of what teams you think will make playoffs at the end of the season, let's cover this. So this is what was voted for, and I'll run through these votes in a second here, but this is a copy paste of the first slide, and then I've highlighted it in red or green based on what people have predicted. So it's very interesting to me that the Calgary Talonflames, who are currently sitting in a playoff position, were not voted for a playoff position. In terms of how the votes broke down, there were 2 teams that everybody voted for to make playoffs. That was the Ladner Lantern and the Tampa Bay Weasels. Everybody voted for them to make playoffs, which is very interesting because myself, I'm only 4-2, so it's wild to me that everyone voted for me to make playoffs. Kade and the LA Latios had 19 votes, so one person did not pick the LA Latios in their 8. Keep in mind, everyone picked 8, and so one person didn't pick the LA Latios. The Adelaide Overheat and the UNC Wingles both had 18 votes. Crystal Pocky had 14. Pittsburgh Piplups had 13. Calgary Flareons had 11. Green Bay Glassopods had 8. And that was sort of how it broke down. But obviously the Green Bay Glassopods were unfortunately in that back half of 8. The Calgary Talonflames had 7. Atlantis Raptors had 6. And then it got a lot lower. The Cleveland Cavaliers had 2, as well as the West Virginia Voltorb had 2. And the Helsinki Heat had 1, and the Stone Point City Blizzard had 1, and the Philadelphia Pichus had 0 votes to go to playoffs. And that is the final slide. I'm glad I tortured myself and my voice through all of this. Please, if you are watching this and you are not part of the league and you want to be part of next season, especially in minors, if you're new to the format and you want to be part of a draft league for the first time, please, I will link the Discord link down below. Join the server, have some fun. It's a great community. I love everybody, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Sort of broke down what has happened so far and sort of how playoffs are going to work and all that jazz. Again, the super secret announcement, if you skip to the end because I did it way in the middle, the bottom 2 teams, my intention is to relegate them to minors next season. Currently, that is Magic and Ace. Any team with 2 wins is definitely in danger of being relegated at the moment. Any team with 4 wins is definitely safe at the moment. This could change based on how things play out. It may or may not happen. My current intention is for that to happen. Keep an eye out for that. Hopefully you guys will enjoy. Again, the music will be linked down below if you didn't catch that at the beginning. And I will catch you guys next time.